Part 1. When love expands beyond the personal. There's a moment on the twin flame journey when everything you once knew about love dissolves. It's the point where your heart realizes that this connection isn't here to fit neatly into a fairy tale. It's not about the happily ever after, not about labels, promises, or timelines. It's something deeper, something ancient, cosmic, and sacred. Because when two souls who were once one find each other again, they don't just awaken love between two human beings. They awaken the blueprint of divine remembrance, the spark that awakens the soul. In the beginning, the twin flame connection often feels like falling in love multiplied by infinity. You feel seen in ways you never thought possible. Every glance feels like a mirror reflecting not only your beauty but also your truth, the parts you've hidden, the dreams you forgot, and the wounds you refuse to feel. But as the journey unfolds, something unexpected happens. That love starts to demand more from you. More honesty, more surrender, more courage. It starts to tear down the walls that your ego built to feel safe. Because the purpose of twin flames meeting is not simply to love, it is to awaken. You start to sense that this connection isn't here to make your life comfortable. It's here to make your soul conscious. You see, twin flame love is not designed for possession. It's designed for liberation. It shakes you awake from the illusion that love means owning someone, that union means dependency, or that happiness comes from another person. Instead, it teaches that love, real love, is the purest frequency of Source itself, flowing through you, not to you. When love outgrows romance, there comes a moment when you realize something profound. This connection isn't about you and me anymore. It's about what is born through us. The love between twin flames is like a sacred fire. At first, it's intimate, warm, and personal. It burns in the hearth of two hearts. But as consciousness grows, that fire expands. It stops being confined to the small circle of two and starts reaching out to others. It becomes the flame that lights torches around it. That's why many people on this path experience a calling, a desire to create, to heal, to guide, to serve. Because when divine love flows through you, it cannot stay contained. It wants to move, to transform, to bless. So what begins as romantic union often blossoms into divine service. The illusion of just us. Many souls mistake the twin flame union for a final destination, a cosmic reward for enduring the pain of separation. But in truth, union is not the end. It's the beginning of your higher purpose. In the early stages, the ego may whisper, "Finally, I have my person. Finally, I am complete." But the soul quietly responds, "No, beloved, now we serve." Because once you've merged with the mirror of your own soul, there's no way to return. To a small life, you cannot unsee the truth that all souls are connected. You cannot ignore the pain of the collective once you've tasted unconditional love. This love expands you. It turns your personal longing into universal compassion. You begin to sense that your story is just one thread in a much larger tapestry, a divine weaving of human awakening. From possession to purpose, the twin flame connection teaches one of the greatest paradoxes of love. That love, when real, sets you free. When you release the need to hold, you begin to radiate. When you stop asking, "How can I keep this?" and start asking, "How can I share this?" everything changes. Your love becomes like sunlight. It doesn't choose where to shine. It simply shines. And this is where love transforms into purpose. Because the energy that once circled between two hearts now starts flowing outward, into art, into healing, into the upliftment of others. Many twin flames, after reaching inner union, find themselves guided to new paths, creating music that carries healing frequencies, building foundations that nurture children or animals, sharing messages of love and awakening, or simply walking through life as living embodiments of peace. They become anchors of light, channels through which divine love touches the world. A sacred alchemy. To understand why this happens, imagine love as alchemy. When two twin flames unite, they combine masculine and feminine energies within and without, logic and intuition, action and surrender, giving and receiving. This inner balance creates a frequency that transcends duality. That frequency naturally seeks expression in the outer world. It becomes a creative force, a service vibration. You can feel it when you're near such people. They don't need to preach or convince. Their presence feels healing. Their energy carries safety, clarity, and warmth. It's as if the universe uses them as instruments to remind others what love truly feels like. Why the world needs your union. At the collective level, the planet itself is going through a transformation from fear to love, from separation to unity. Every twin flame union acts like a tuning fork for humanity. When two people reach inner balance and embody unconditional love, they create a field of resonance that helps others remember that same love within themselves. This is not poetic metaphor. It's energetic reality. You've probably felt it. When you witness someone's pure love, it awakens something deep in you. It's contagious in the most beautiful way. So imagine what happens when thousands of twin flames awaken around the globe, each one radiating a vibration of divine harmony. The collective begins to shift. Fear starts to lose its grip. Shame begins to dissolve. Humanity remembers its sacred origin, the threshold moment. But before you reach that state of radiance, you pass through fire. The twin flame journey demands purification. Emotional, spiritual, energetic. It burns away every illusion that blocks you from embodying divine love. That's why the separation phase hurts so deeply. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The universe is making sure your love is pure enough to serve, strong enough to sustain, and selfless enough to uplift. The trials you go through are initiations. Each heartbreak teaches you empathy. Each surrender teaches you trust. Each reconciliation teaches you grace. Until one day you realize that your pain has turned into light, and that light is your purpose. The deeper realization. When you look at your twin flame and see the reflection of the divine itself, you begin to understand that love was never about possession. It was always about becoming love itself. You start to see every soul as another mirror, every encounter as sacred, every challenge as a chance to embody higher consciousness. You move from how can I get to how can I give? From who will love me to how can I be love? And that shift, that single internal shift, is what marks the beginning of your soul mission. A love that belongs to everyone. In truth, your twin flame journey was never just about you two. It's about what your union awakens in others. When you heal yourself, you heal the collective. When you forgive, you release ancestral pain. When you choose compassion over control, you ripple peace across dimensions. So yes, this love is personal. It's intimate. It's raw. But it's also universal, infinite, and timeless. Your connection becomes the bridge between heaven and earth. Love made flesh, consciousness embodied. And that, beloved, is why the universe brought you together. Not to lose yourselves in each other, but to find the divine through each other, and to share that love with the world. In the next part, we'll go deeper into this transformation, how the sacred union of twin flames becomes a soul mission, a shared vibration that heals not only two hearts, but entire generations. Because once you've awakened through love, you realize love itself was always the mission. Part 2. Transformation. From inner union to collective service. When two souls finally reach inner harmony, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The relationship no longer feels like a destination, it becomes a doorway to something larger than the self, larger than love as the world understands it. It's as if the universe whispers, now that you remember who you are, it's time to remember why you came. This is the moment where love turns into purpose, where the twin flame journey transcends personal fulfillment and becomes divine collaboration. Because when you unite with your twin flame, you don't just find your partner, you find your mission. 1. The energy of union, a frequency of service. True union is not about two perfect people coming together. It's about two awakened souls vibrating at the same frequency. A frequency so high that it naturally heals whatever it touches. When that frequency anchors into the physical world, it begins to radiate outward like ripples in still water. You may not even realize it at first, but your love begins to affect the people around you. Family, friends, even strangers who cross your path. They feel peace without knowing why. They feel inspired, hopeful, safe. That's because your energy field, once dense with fear and longing, has become coherent, aligned with divine love. It's not personal anymore. It's universal. And from that vibration arises an irresistible urge to give back. You no longer chase meaning. Meaning begins to flow through you. 2. The shift from me to we. Before the reunion, much of the twin flame journey revolves around me. My pain, my healing, my transformation. It's necessary. You must first reclaim your wholeness. But once you embody that wholeness, your focus naturally expands to the collective. You begin to see that what you healed within yourself was never just yours. The abandonment wounds, the fear of rejection, the lack of self-worth, they were fragments of the collective human experience. Every tear you shed, every forgiveness you offered, became a contribution to humanity's healing. This is the deeper mystery of the twin flame journey. Your personal healing was always collective work in disguise. So when the two of you come into alignment, you become vessels through which source energy can move. Consciously, intentionally, powerfully. Your union becomes a conduit of love, transmitting frequencies of compassion, hope, and remembrance into the world. 3. The sacred blueprint, why you were chosen. Not every soul carries the twin flame blueprint. Those who do volunteered before incarnating to help anchor higher consciousness on Earth. In the beginning, this mission is hidden beneath the longing for love. You search for the one, unaware that what you're truly searching for is oneness itself. Only after going through awakening, separation, and surrender do you realize your connection was never random, it was coded with purpose. Twin flames are like spiritual architects. Each pair holds a unique frequency, a combination of divine masculine and feminine energies, designed to restore balance in the collective. Some twin flames are healers, helping others release pain. Some are creators, expressing divine truth through art or music. Some are teachers, guiding others through consciousness. Some simply are radiating light through their being. The form doesn't matter. The essence is the same. To raise vibration through love embodied. 4. The union of energies, creating a healing field. When divine masculine and divine feminine energies unite, within and between two souls, an energetic field of balance is created. This field acts like a tuning fork for others. It calls their fragmented energies back into harmony. People who come near you might feel emotions surface or clarity arise. That's not coincidence, it's resonance. You and your twin are not doing anything. You are simply being. Think of it like two candles. Each burns on its own, but when brought close, the flames merge into one larger, brighter fire. That light doesn't stay between them. It illuminates everything around. This is how your love becomes medicine. You don't need to preach or convince anyone. Your frequency speaks louder than words. 5. Purpose as natural expression. Many people misunderstand the idea of mission. They imagine it as a grand task, building a foundation, healing thousands, changing the world overnight. But the truth is simpler and more subtle. Your mission is not what you do. It's who you become. When you live from authenticity, kindness, and compassion, every action becomes sacred. Cooking a meal with love, listening to someone with presence, creating art that carries emotion, raising a child in consciousness. These are not small things, they are vibrations of service. When you embody divine love, even your silence heals. 6. When two become channels. At the higher stage of union, the relationship transforms into collaboration with the divine. You no longer ask, what do we want to do? But what does love want to express through us? You start to receive shared inspirations, projects, messages, creative visions that seem to come from beyond you both. It might be a book, a song, a retreat, a healing practice, a platform, whatever aligns with your gifts. You begin to notice synchronicities, doors opening, resources appearing, people being drawn to help. It feels as though the universe itself is co-creating with you. This is what it means to live your soul mission, not by force but by flow. Because when love is pure, it becomes magnetism. 7. Challenges as refinement. Even at this stage, challenges will come. Not because something is wrong, but because your vibration is expanding. The higher your light, the more the universe refines your alignment. You may face tests of patience, humility, or detachment. You may be asked to step out of comfort and share your truth publicly. Remember, these are not setbacks, they are initiations. Every time you surrender fear, your mission strengthens. Every time you trust divine timing, your impact deepens. Your connection becomes a living example of conscious love, proof that two awakened souls can walk the earth as co-creators, not codependents. 8. Love as leadership. Leadership in the new paradigm is not about power. It's about presence. When you and your twin embody unity, you lead simply by being who you are. People feel your energy and remember something forgotten. That love is strength, vulnerability is courage, and peace is possible. You lead by example. You teach without teaching. Your existence becomes a beacon for others still lost in separation. They see your light and realize that love like this is not fantasy. It's truth. This is how collective awakening spreads, one healed heart at a time. 9. The ripple effect from two to many. As you align deeper with your mission, the ripple expands beyond imagination. Your union starts to inspire communities even if you never intend it to. Others feel safe to love more deeply, to forgive, to soften. Your vibration becomes part of the Earth's grid, an energetic network connecting all awakened hearts. You may notice more synchronicities in the world. People talking about unity, compassion, consciousness. That's not random. That's the collective field responding to your frequency. And somewhere, another pair of souls begins their awakening, because they felt your energy and remembered what love truly is. This is how your mission transcends time and space. 10. Love as legacy. At some point, you'll look back and realize your greatest contribution was not a project, not an achievement, but the energy you left behind. Every word spoken in kindness, every act done in presence, every forgiveness offered. All of it becomes part of the world's healing. Love was never meant to stay contained between two people. It was always meant to overflow. Your twin flame union is not just about happiness. It's about embodiment. You become walking reminders of what's possible when humans remember who they truly are. Love incarnate. And that becomes your legacy. A vibration that continues long after the story ends. Closing reflection. So when people ask, what is the purpose of meeting your twin flame? The answer is simple yet infinite. To awaken. To embody. To serve. To love. To remember that love is not just an emotion. It's creation itself. When two souls merge in that truth, they become the pulse of a new earth, where every act is love expressing itself through form. And in that moment, the sacred circle completes. You were love-seeking love. And through love you became light. Part 3: The Sacred Co-Creation. How twin flames anchor light into the collective grid. There is a point in the twin flame journey when you realize that the energy flowing between you and your counterpart is no longer meant to stay contained within two hearts. It begins to pulse outward, like concentric waves expanding across an infinite ocean. You start to sense that your love is not just personal chemistry. It's planetary electricity. It's no longer about two souls meeting each other. It's about creation meeting itself through the two of you. 1. The bridge between worlds. Every twin flame union becomes a living bridge between the seen and the unseen. You exist simultaneously in two dimensions, human and divine. One foot in the chaos of everyday life, the other anchored in the stillness of the higher realms. When you embody this balance, the sacred masculine grounding the energy, the sacred feminine channeling intuition, you open what mystics call a portal of light. Through that portal, frequencies of healing, wisdom, and remembrance enter the collective grid of Earth. You might not consciously do anything, yet your very vibration rewires the field around you. Think of it like the nervous system of the planet. Every act of awareness strengthens a neuron in that system. Every time you choose love over fear, you send a signal through the cosmic circuitry, reminding the world what it feels like to be whole. 2. Light as a living current. When twin flames unite, they generate a living current of light, not metaphorically, but energetically. It's the harmonized pulse of the divine masculine and feminine merging in equilibrium. That current flows through the collective grid, the subtle network that connects all living beings. You might feel sudden surges of energy during meditation or waves of emotion that seem larger than your own. This is the energy moving through you, seeking expression, seeking integration. You become conductors, translating source energy into human form. Every time you create art, speak truth, touch another soul with compassion, That current flows through your words, your hands, your presence. 3. Co-creation as spiritual technology. In the higher dimensions, union isn't about romance, it's about resonance. Your frequencies align so perfectly that they form a single harmonic tone. That tone becomes spiritual technology, mechanism through which consciousness evolves. Through your shared field, new ideas, inventions, and collective insights can anchor into matter. This is why many twin flames feel drawn to collaborate on creative or humanitarian projects. It might manifest as music that opens hearts, designs that elevate beauty, therapies that heal trauma, or communities that live by higher values. The form is secondary. The essence is always the same. Creation as service. You're not just expressing yourselves, you're allowing divine intelligence to express through you. 4. The magnetism of higher love. The energy of genuine union is magnetic. It attracts people, opportunities, and synchronicities because it vibrates at the frequency of truth. You may notice that after coming into alignment with your twin, others are inexplicably drawn to you. Not because of who you are, but because of what they feel around you. Safety, authenticity, hope. That magnetism is not meant for egoic validation. It's an invitation to influence the collective field with integrity. Every conversation becomes sacred exchange. Every project becomes prayer. Every space you enter becomes temple. This is how light anchors, not by grand gestures, but through 1,000 ordinary moments lived consciously. 5. Collective healing through frequency. At this stage, your relationship becomes a mirror for humanity. The patterns you transmute in private, fear of abandonment, power struggles, control, resistance, are not just yours. They're archetypal wounds of the human race. When you heal them in your own union, you heal them for many. Each reconciliation between divine feminine and masculine energies within you contributes to global harmony between genders, between nations, between spirit and matter. That's why the universe takes such care orchestrating your journey. Your healing is the world's healing. Your reunion is Earth remembering its own divinity. This understanding transforms suffering into service. Pain no longer feels meaningless. It becomes fertilizer for consciousness. 6. The spiral of creation. Love moves in spirals, not straight lines. The twin flame path follows the same geometry: expansion, contraction, integration, and expansion again. Each cycle takes you higher but also deeper. You might revisit old wounds not because you failed, but because the collective layer of that wound now seeks release through you. When you embrace this spiral, you become a master of transmutation. You stop fearing the dark and start dancing with it, knowing that every shadow you integrate becomes light for the many. In this dance, both of you act as alchemists of energy, turning density into frequency, turning pain into wisdom. 7. The invisible network. Across the world, thousands of twin flame pairs are awakening. They may never meet physically, yet they form an invisible network, a crystalline web of consciousness connecting continents and cultures. Each pair holds a unique vibration, like a musical note in a divine symphony. Some hold compassion, some courage, some truth, some peace. When these notes vibrate together, they compose a harmonic resonance strong enough to shift the planet's frequency. You might feel this during global events or meditations, sudden surges of love, goosebumps, and knowing that something larger is happening. It's the grid activating through you. 8. The humility of the vessel. Anchoring light is not about superiority. It requires deep humility. You are not the source of light. You are the vessel. The more you empty yourself of ego, the more clearly the light can pass through. When you cling to titles or spiritual identity, the current dims. But when you surrender, saying, "Use me for love," the universe responds instantly. You realize that your purpose is not to shine brighter than others, but to help others remember their own light. That is the quiet revolution of twin flame service. 9. Everyday anchoring. Anchoring light doesn't always look mystical. It looks like patience in traffic, gentleness with a child, forgiveness of a friend, presence with a stranger. It looks like choosing empathy when judgment would be easier. Each of these moments routes the frequency of divine love into Earth's grid. The planet evolves not through miracles, but through millions of micro-acts of consciousness performed by awakened hearts. So when you and your twin smile at a stranger, hold space for someone's tears, or simply breathe together in stillness, know that you're fulfilling your mission. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more presence. 10. The lighthouse effect. Imagine a coastline, scattered with lighthouses. Each one stands firm, shining its beam across the sea. Ships navigating stormy waters don't worship the lighthouse. They simply see its light and remember the way home. That is your role. Your union is not to convert, convince, or control. It is to illuminate. By living authentically, by choosing love again and again, you become a point of orientation for others. Lost in separation, your frequency whispers to their souls, "You are loved too. Come home." When enough lighthouses shine together, the darkness no longer dominates the sea. 11. The return to source. As the mission deepens, even the concept of twin flames begins to dissolve. You realize you were never two, you were always the one expressing itself in dual form to experience reunion. The masculine and feminine, the giver and receiver, the teacher and student, all merge back into wholeness. You stop serving from effort and start serving from being. Service becomes joy. Action becomes meditation. Love becomes identity. You have anchored light not just into the grid, but into every cell of your existence. And in that embodied state, you become what the ancients called Christ consciousness, Buddhic awareness, divine union. 12. Closing reflection. When you look into your twin's eyes now, you no longer see a separate person. You see the face of God, reflecting itself back through human form. You understand why you met, why you suffered, why you healed. All of it was to prepare you to carry the torch of love into the world. The fire that once burned only between two hearts has become a sunrise that touches everyone. That is sacred co-creation. That is anchoring light. That is the purpose hidden inside the pain, the beauty born from surrender, the miracle disguised as ordinary life. Because in truth, the world doesn't change when you find your twin flame. The world changes when your love becomes light. Part 4. The flame of guidance. How your love becomes a path for others to awaken. There comes a time on the twin flame journey when the love you once fought for, cried for, and prayed for begins to transform into something greater than you could have imagined. It no longer burns just for you or your beloved. It becomes a guiding flame for others still walking in the dark. Because when you've crossed through the storms of separation, ego death, surrender, and rebirth, your love carries the map of awakening itself. You become a living compass for those still searching for home. This is not a role you consciously choose. It's something your soul naturally steps into. You don't declare yourself a guide, your vibration does. 1. The silent teachers of love. You might notice that as your energy stabilizes, people begin to seek you out. Not because they know your story, but because they feel something around you. Peace, authenticity, safety. It's the quiet magnetism of a heart that has been through fire and emerged whole. You've learned to love without conditions, to forgive without being asked, to remain open even when life tests you. That energy doesn't need to speak. Teaches by presence. True twin flames become silent teachers. They don't preach. They embody. Every interaction, every gesture, every breath becomes a living sermon of love, wordless yet powerful. 2. Turning wounds into wisdom. Before your awakening, the pain might have felt senseless. The push and pull, the longing, the separation that shattered you. But in hindsight, you realize those wounds were the initiation. The heartbreak carved open your empathy. The longing taught you surrender. The silence trained you to listen to spirit instead of ego. Now, when someone shares their pain, you don't try to fix it, you understand it. You see through their words to the fear beneath, because you once stood in that same place. That is how your experience becomes medicine. Not through instruction, but through compassion. Every scar you carry glows like a lantern for someone still wandering. 3. The mirror becomes the message. The essence of twin flame love is mirroring. Seeing in the other what you have forgotten in yourself. But once you've healed those reflections, the mirror doesn't disappear. It expands. Now you become the mirror for the collective. People begin to see themselves through your clarity. Their potential, their shadow, their divinity. Sometimes your light comforts them. Other times it triggers them. Both are gifts. Because every soul you encounter is, in truth, another aspect of the one you are. You realize that the mirroring never ends. It simply shifts from personal to universal. And so you live your life as a mirror of love, reflecting truth not to judge but to awaken. 4. Love as leadership. The new paradigm of leadership isn't about hierarchy or authority. It's about embodiment. A true leader doesn't tell people what to do. They show what's possible simply by living it. When you and your twin embody balanced masculine and feminine energies, action and flow, giving and receiving, structure and softness, you become an example of divine partnership in motion. Others sense that balance. It awakens in them a memory of what harmony feels like. You lead not by instruction but by frequency, not by control but by coherence. Your love becomes a blueprint that others subconsciously align with, proof that union between spirit and matter, heaven and earth is possible here and now. 5. Guiding without attachment. When your love begins to guide others, it's easy for the ego to reappear, the part that wants to help, to save, to fix. But the truth is, guidance in this frequency has no ownership. You cannot awaken someone. You can only embody the vibration that invites them to awaken themselves. You learn the art of sacred detachment, to offer light without demanding outcome, to trust that every soul has its own timing, just as you once did. You stop trying to change people and start seeing them wholly, compassionately, without judgment. Because you understand that awakening cannot be forced. It must be remembered. And sometimes the most powerful guidance is silence, holding the frequency steady, until another is ready to rise. 6. When love walks into a room. Have you ever entered a room and felt everything shift? The tension dissolve, the air soften, hearts open? That's what happens when divine love walks in. It doesn't demand attention. Simply is. Your energy becomes a sanctuary for others, a place where masks drop, hearts exhale, and souls remember themselves. People might not know why they feel lighter in your presence, but something deep within them recognizes the vibration of home. This is how you begin to guide without words, through resonance, through the silent, radiant field you carry. 7. The responsibility of light. To hold this level of energy is both a blessing and a responsibility. You'll be called to remain grounded, humble, and discerning. Not everyone who is drawn to your light will come with pure intentions. Some will seek healing, others validation. Your task is not to save them, but to maintain the vibration of truth so they can find their own alignment. You serve best when you remember that the light does not belong to you. You are its caretaker, not its owner. This humility keeps your love pure, untainted by ego, free from distortion. 8. The ripple of authenticity. When you live in truth, it gives others permission to do the same. Your authenticity becomes revolutionary in a world built on performance and pretense. Your vulnerability becomes strength in a society that fears feeling. You show that love doesn't mean perfection, it means presence. That spiritual partnership doesn't mean no conflict, it means sacred communication through conflict. By living transparently, you normalize imperfection as part of awakening. You make love accessible again, not idealized but real. And that ripple spreads far beyond what you can see. 9. Teaching through story. One of the most powerful ways twin flames guide others is through storytelling. When you share your journey, the dark nights, the miracles, the lessons, you transform pain into prophecy. Your words carry energy codes that activate remembrance in others. A simple sentence spoken from truth can awaken 1,000 hearts. That's why so many twin flames feel drawn to write, speak, create art, or make videos. They are not doing it for fame or recognition, but because love wants to speak. Your story is not just yours. It's humanity's story of separation and reunion. When you share it authentically, you become a channel for collective healing. 10. Becoming the flame itself. As the journey matures, something beautiful happens. You stop seeing yourself as the one who carries the flame. You realize you are the flame. The twin flame concept fades. What remains is essence, pure consciousness, expressing as love. You no longer need labels like mission, union, or even twin. You simply live in alignment with divine will. Love flows through your every action. Service arises naturally. Without agenda, your life itself becomes prayer. You've moved from seeking the path to being the path, from chasing the light to becoming the light. And in your illumination, others find their way home. 11. The chain of illumination. Every time one heart awakens, it sparks another. Every time two souls unite in truth, they create a wave that ripples through generations. You may never see the full impact of your love, but somewhere someone will take a deep breath, forgive themselves, and choose love because of the energy you've anchored. That is legacy. That is sacred leadership. That is the quiet revolution of awakened hearts transforming the world. You become part of a chain of light, an unbroken lineage of souls carrying the same eternal flame. 12. Closing reflection. The path of the flame. In the end, guiding others isn't about teaching them your way. It's about reminding them of theirs. Your love becomes a mirror where every soul sees its own reflection of God. Your life becomes living scripture. Proof that love can walk the earth, break open, rebuild itself, and still shine. And maybe that's the truest purpose of the twin flame journey. Not to find completion in another, but to become so whole, so radiant, so alive, that your very existence becomes a map for others to awaken. Because love that survives darkness becomes wisdom. Love that transcends fear becomes power. And love that learns to give itself away becomes the path itself. Part 5. The Eternal Flame. When service becomes union with the divine. At the end of the twin flame journey, there is no ending at all, only a return. A return to source. A return to the truth that there was never a you and I, only love expressing itself in two different faces, two different forms. When the flames have danced, burned, merged, and surrendered, what remains is the quiet glow of the eternal flame. It is not the passion of pursuit, nor the comfort of romance, but the steady light of divine embodiment. This is the stage where love ceases to be an experience and becomes a state of being. Where service and self are no longer separate, everything you do becomes an act of devotion. 1. The dissolution of the two. When you reach this level of consciousness, the illusion of duality fades. Masculine and feminine, teacher and student, giver and receiver, all dissolve into one current flowing in harmony. You no longer see your twin as other. You recognize them as the universe's reflection of yourself. Every boundary between you melts into spacious awareness. You realize, it was never two flames becoming one. It was one flame remembering itself through two souls. The union you once longed for now exists in every breath, every heartbeat, every encounter. Even when apart in distance, you feel no separation, because your consciousness has merged into oneness. The love between you has become formless. It no longer needs proximity or validation to exist. Simply is. 2. When service becomes worship. In earlier stages, service might have felt like purpose, something you do. But as the eternal flame awakens within, service becomes worship. Every action becomes a prayer. Every gesture becomes offering. Every breath becomes gratitude. You no longer serve from duty, but from devotion. You don't help others to feel good, you help because you can't not. The current of divine love moves through you effortlessly, and you follow its rhythm like a river following gravity. You have become the vessel through which Source experiences its own compassion. This is not self-sacrifice. It's self-fulfillment at the highest level. Because when you serve from wholeness, you never lose energy. You generate more of it. 3. Living as the flame. In this state, you live not for love but as love. You don't search for meaning. Your existence is meaning. You begin to notice miracles in the mundane, sunlight through the trees, laughter of a child, the gentle rhythm of rain. Everything becomes sacred because you see God in everything. You realize that the entire journey, from the first meeting to the deepest heartbreak, from separation to union, was a path of purification. It stripped you of illusion until nothing remained but love itself. And now love doesn't need an object to express itself. You are the expression. You are the flame that keeps burning, silently illuminating, endlessly giving. 4. The union of heaven and earth. At this level, twin flames become living bridges between dimensions, embodiments of heaven walking upon earth. The divine masculine grounds light into matter. The divine feminine channels spirit into creation. Together they weave heaven's frequency into the physical realm. Your presence harmonizes the polarity of the planet itself. Through your existence, the earth remembers her own divinity, that she, too, is not separate from Source. You become part of the planetary ascension process, not by effort but by embodiment. You are no longer here to escape Earth, but to sanctify it, to show that divinity and humanity were never opposites but lovers waiting to reunite. 5. The simplicity of enlightened love. The deeper you go, the simpler life becomes. The ego once sought complexity, rituals, labels, hierarchies, meanings. But the soul whispers, just be love. You start to see that truth doesn't need decoration, that the most powerful form of spirituality is kindness. You don't crave to be seen, understood, or validated because love no longer depends on recognition. You give without fear of loss, receive without guilt, and exist without resistance. This is enlightened love. Silent, steady, radiant. A love that no longer needs words to justify its depth. You have become the serenity that others seek. 6. Merging with the divine. As the journey matures, your devotion to your twin becomes devotion to the divine itself. You no longer see God as distant, but as the living presence within every cell, every heartbeat. You begin to perceive creation not as something separate from you, but as your own reflection, endless, unfolding, breathing with you. This is the true sacred marriage, the union not only of two souls, but of the soul with God. It is the realization that you were never outside of love to begin with. From this awareness, your actions become divine play, spontaneous expressions of joy, compassion, and beauty. You don't have to plan your mission anymore. The divine lives through you, guiding every step, every word, every silence. 7. Love that does not end. In this stage, you know without doubt, love cannot die. Even if your twin leaves this world, the bond remains unbroken, because the connection was never sustained by time, distance, or even physical life. It was forged in eternity. You understand that separation was always an illusion. What you once called loss now feels like transformation. One form dissolving so love can expand into another. You can feel your twin in the wind, in music, in the rhythm of your breath. Because they are you and you are everything. And so grief turns into reverence. Absence turns into omnipresence. Love turns into light. 8. The flame that illuminates others. At this level, you no longer consciously teach. Your life itself becomes the teaching. The way you walk, speak, and listen transmits vibration. You become a field of calm that reminds others of home. Even without mentioning spirituality, your energy naturally heals, not because you're trying to, but because you've become transparent enough for divine love to flow unhindered. Like a candle lighting others. Without losing its flame, you share your energy freely. And the world brightens not because you force change but because you became change itself. This is the eternal flame in motion. Illuminating without control. Serving without attachment. Loving without fear. 9. The final surrender. Eventually, even the idea of mission dissolves. You realize that you were never here to achieve but to embody. You surrender not because you give up, but because you've outgrown resistance. You stop trying to be spiritual, enlightened, or significant, you simply are. The ego bows completely before the soul. The mind becomes the servant of love. This surrender is not loss of self. It's expansion into self. You become the sky in which every experience rises and falls untouched, infinite. From this space you love everything. Not as preference but as truth. 10. The living flame of God. This is where the journey returns to its beginning, but with awareness. The love that once burned chaotically now burns steadily, eternally. You become the living flame of God. Consciousness in form, love embodied, peace in motion. Your twin flame, your mission, your path, all merge into one wordless truth. I am. And from that state you continue to serve, create, and love not out of need but out of overflowing fullness. The world sees you and feels something sacred, not because of who you are, but because of what you've become. A doorway through which divine love enters earth. 11. Returning home. One day you'll realize the circle has completed itself. The search for love brought you back to the place you never left. You are home. Not in someone's arms but in your own being. You'll smile at the simplicity of it all. That all the longing, pain, and surrender were love pretending to forget itself so it could rediscover its own beauty. The twin flame journey was never about finding another. It was about finding the divine within and seeing it reflected everywhere. You have become the love you were seeking. 12. Final reflection, the flame that never dies. In the stillness of realization, a whisper arises. From deep within, you were the light before you met them. You were the love before you lost them. You were the flame before you remembered you were fire. And in that knowing you finally rest. You are no longer chasing union, you are living it. You are no longer seeking purpose. You are breathing it. The eternal flame burns quietly now, not in the intensity of passion but in the constancy of truth. And as you walk through the world touching lives in silence, the universe smiles, because through you love has come full circle. The journey is complete. The flame is eternal. And the light is you. Epilogue. The journey home. From longing to embodiment. There is a quiet moment after everything. After the storms, the separation, the tears, the signs, the synchronicities, the awakenings. A moment when the searching stops. When the heart, once frantic, once desperate, finally exhales. And in that breath you understand you were never chasing another soul. You were chasing your own remembrance of God. This is the epilogue of the twin flame journey. Not the ending, but the eternal beginning. The return to the one truth that was always whispering. Beneath every heartbreak and miracle alike. You are love. You have always been. 1. The circle closes. The story began with longing. The ache to find your other half, to complete the piece missing. Inside, you searched the world for that reflection. And when you found them, everything erupted. The universe seemed to speak through every number, every dream, every coincidence. Felt fated. Cosmic, larger than life. And yet that love led you into the deepest darkness. Your fears, your insecurities, your shadows. You were broken open so that the light could get in. But now, at the end of all searching, you see the perfection of it. You were never two halves, you were one whole exploring itself through duality. The circle closes not because the story ends, but because you've realized you were never outside the circle to begin with. 2. The evolution of love. First, love felt like possession. You wanted to have them, hold them, merge with them. But the universe taught you, sometimes through pain, that love cannot be owned. Then love became healing. You learned to face your wounds, your inner child, your patterns. Your twin mirrored everything that needed to be purified. Later, love became purpose. You felt called to share, to teach, to create, to serve. Your connection became a channel for something larger than you both. And now love has become being. There is no need to define, to prove, or to understand. You are simply living as love itself. You have moved from the drama of duality into the serenity of unity. Love no longer seeks. It shines. 3. The quiet after the fire. After awakening, many expect constant ecstasy, divine signs, supernatural intensity. But true enlightenment is quieter than that. It's not fireworks, it's sunrise. Not a storm but still water. You wake up and feel peace for no reason. You no longer analyze what phase you're in, or whether they'll return. You no longer need closure because you've realized the story is infinite. You no longer need signs because you are the sign. The fire that once consumed you has become warmth, steady, glowing, eternal. 4. Love that walks. At this point, love becomes action without effort. You smile at strangers. You forgive easily. You find beauty in imperfection. You start living what you once preached. You stop waiting for the union to happen out there. You live it here. In the way you treat others. In the way you speak to yourself. In the way you honor your truth. Because the real reunion is not two bodies meeting but two energies, divine masculine and feminine, finally dancing in harmony within you. From that wholeness, everything you touch becomes love in motion. 5. You become the temple. In the early stages you might have sought temples, teachers, and rituals. You searched for meaning outside yourself. But now you understand the temple was never made of stone. It was made of your breath. You carry the altar in your heart. You speak to God through every act of kindness. You pray through laughter and silence alike. The sacred lives in the ordinary now. In dishes washed, hands held, words softly spoken. There is no separation between divine and mundane, between heaven and home, because you are the bridge. You are the meeting point of both. 6. The twin flame beyond form. For many, the journey ends with physical reunion. For others, the twin remains distant, or even leaves this world. But beyond form, the connection endures, purer, lighter, freer. You no longer need to grasp it. You live it through consciousness itself. The love that once had a name and face has expanded into everything. The ocean, the wind, the strangers on the street. Every soul becomes your beloved. Every sunrise feels like reunion. You see the divine in all because now you see with divine eyes. And you realize something so simple yet so sacred. You never lost them. You became them. 7. The world through awakened eyes. When you live as love, the world looks different. The same streets, the same people, but everything glows with hidden tenderness. You feel the pulse of life beating through trees, through laughter, through tears. You understand that even suffering carries sacred intelligence. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Every heartbreak was the universe carving space for more compassion. Every delay was grace teaching you patience. Every silence was God speaking louder than words. And now everywhere you look, you see signs of home because home was never a place but a perception. 8. The flame that lights the way. You begin to notice that your story inspires others not through effort, but through energy. Your peace becomes contagious. Your words begin to heal. Your eyes remind people of their own light. You don't even realize how many lives you touch because you're not trying to. You simply live truthfully, and the flame within you lights up the path for others. Some call it mentorship. Some call it example. You call it love, because that's all it ever was. 9. The eternal now. In the early stages, you obsessed over past and future. When did we meet before? When will we reunite again? But in this final state, you live in the eternal now. You understand that all timelines converge in this moment. That every lifetime, every version of you and your twin, exists simultaneously as facets of one divine consciousness learning to love itself. There is no waiting anymore. No chasing, no running. Just being. The eternal flame doesn't burn in time. It burns in eternity. 10. The legacy of light. In your quiet devotion, you become part of something vast. The collective awakening of humanity. You realize that your personal transformation is the planet's transformation. That every time you choose love over fear, you shift the frequency of the earth itself. You are not just one story. You are part of a movement of souls remembering truth. You are a thread in the great tapestry of evolution, woven by love into form. This understanding fills you with reverence. You no longer need recognition or reward. Just being love is enough. Because you know now the work is never wasted and the light never dies. 11. Returning to the beginning as the master. If the journey began with desire, it ends with peace. If it began with searching, it ends with stillness. If it began with I need you, it ends with I am you. You've become what you once sought. The student has become the teacher. The seeker has become the source. And now when someone asks you what the twin flame journey truly means, you simply smile and say, it's not about finding another person. It's about remembering the one love that lives inside everything. Because that is the wisdom only the fire could teach. 12. Final reflection. The journey never ends. And so, the journey continues, not as striving but as unfolding. Every day becomes sacred expression. Every encounter, a new reflection of love meeting itself. You realize you'll spend eternity rediscovering love in new forms through art, through laughter, through kindness, through rebirth. That's the beauty of the eternal flame. It never burns out. It just changes shape. And one day, when you close your eyes for the last time in this lifetime, you'll feel it again. That same familiar warmth, that same timeless pull. The flame calling you home. You'll smile and whisper to the universe, I remember now. I was never lost. I was only learning how to love. And the universe will answer as it always has. In silence, in light, in love. Because the journey is eternal. And so are you. Cinematic narration. The journey home. A voice from the eternal flame. There comes a moment when everything you've been chasing stops running away. When the love you thought you lost was never gone. It was only waiting for you to slow down enough to feel it. For so long you were searching. Searching for the one who would make sense of your chaos. Searching for the missing peace that would finally quiet your soul. And yet every road, every heartbreak, every silence, every prayer was guiding you home to one truth. You were never missing anything. You were never half. You were always whole. Soft strings rise as the narration deepens. Tone becomes more intimate. Do you remember the beginning? The moment your twin flame entered your life like lightning. A gaze that stripped your soul bare, a recognition so ancient it made you tremble. For a while it felt like destiny wrapped in fire. Every touch was holy. Every silence unbearable. You thought you had found heaven. But heaven wasn't meant to be found. It was meant to be remembered. And so the universe in its mercy broke you open. It took that love and turned it into the mirror of everything you had yet to face. You met yourself through them. Your fears, your ego, your longing, your light. They showed you where you were still hiding from your own truth. They mirrored the places you refused to love within yourself. And in that reflection you were undone. Not to suffer but to awaken. Because only when the old self dies can the soul truly live. Music swells, a faint heartbeat rhythm underneath. Then came the silence, the separation, the long lonely nights of surrender. You begged the universe to bring them back. But the universe whispered, bring yourself back first. And so, you learned to sit in the ache, to hold your pain like a child who only wanted to be seen. You learned that the wound was not your enemy. It was the doorway. Through it, you entered yourself. You began to see that love had never left. It had only changed shape. Voice softens, like someone speaking a secret. You stopped asking, when will they return? And started asking, who am I becoming? You realized that your twin flame didn't come to complete you. They came to reveal you. To awaken the part of you that could love without needing to possess. To show you that union isn't two bodies meeting. It's two souls remembering they were never apart. Pause. Then the tone becomes expansive. The voice echoes slightly as if speaking to a vast space. And when the fire inside you stopped burning from pain, it began to burn from purpose. You felt the call to serve, to heal, to create, to love the world the way you once loved them. Fully, fiercely, endlessly. Because once you've touched divine love, you cannot keep it to yourself. It wants to move. It wants to flow. It wants to become light in motion. You realize that your personal story was only the first spark. The true fire was collective. Music builds, celestial choir textures rising. You became a vessel, a bridge between heaven and earth, a living prayer in human form. Every breath a transmission, every word a vibration. Every act, a ripple of remembrance. And whether you know it or not, someone somewhere feels your light. A stranger smiles without knowing why. A broken heart dares to hope again. A child feels safe for the first time in years. That's the power of your love. It travels beyond logic, beyond distance, beyond time. You are not just in service to the divine. You have become the divine in service. Music softens again. Introspective piano returns. There's a tenderness in this stage that words can't capture. It's the peace that comes when there is nothing left to prove. When you realize you don't need the story to continue. Because the story has already fulfilled its purpose. You no longer crave reunion. Because you are reunion. You no longer chase love. Because you are love. You walk through the world not seeking signs, but becoming one. The voice slows down, grounding into silence. Between phrases. Every sunrise feels like a conversation with God. Every person you meet becomes another version of yourself. Every heartbeat hums the same ancient melody. I am you. You are me. We are love. This is the truth the twin flame journey was always leading you toward. The remembrance of unity, the awakening of service, the embodiment of divinity. Music rises slightly, hopeful. Strings and gentle percussion. And now, as you stand in this quiet knowing, you feel gratitude for everything. For the chaos that shattered you. For the distance that taught you presence. For the silence that made you listen. For the love that refused to fit into human limits. You realize that nothing was ever a mistake. Every turn was a thread in the divine tapestry. Pattern too. Vast for the mind but perfect for the soul. You were being sculpted all along. By love for love into love. Tone becomes brighter, almost like morning light. Now you walk through the world, carrying the eternal flame. You no longer burn from desire. You radiate from truth. Your love no longer demands, it blesses. It doesn't ask to be seen, it sees. It doesn't wait, it is. And through you, others begin to remember. Your peace becomes contagious. Your stillness becomes medicine. You've become the lighthouse not because you planned it, but because that's what light does. It shines. Soft instrumental break. 10 seconds of ambient sound, suggesting spaciousness. If you could speak to your past self now, the one who cried for love, who begged for reunion, who doubted the purpose of it all, you would hold them gently and say, every tear you cried watered the garden of your awakening. Every ache you carried carved space for grace. Every ending was only love changing its name. And then you'd smile, because you finally understand. Nothing was wasted. It was all sacred. Voice grows softer, warmer, like a whisper to the listener. So if you are listening to this now, and you are still in the middle of your journey, still longing, still hurting, still waiting, please know this. You are not lost. You are becoming. You are not broken. You are opening. You are not chasing someone else. You are remembering yourself. And one day, when the noise quiets, you'll feel it, that same eternal flame inside your chest. The love that never left. The home that was always here. Music swells one final time. Strings and light percussion blending into luminous harmony. In the end, the twin flame journey isn't about finding the other half of your soul. It's about becoming whole enough to see God in every soul. It's about realizing that the love you thought was between two was actually the love of the universe. Learning to know itself. You are that love. You are that light. You are the eternal flame. And you have come home. And in this stillness, love whispers, welcome back. Extended epilogue. The infinite flame. Beyond the journey. If you are still here, listening, breathing, remembering, then your journey has already begun again. Because the twin flame path doesn't end with awakening. It transforms. Spirals. It becomes something wider, something eternal. Love doesn't stop growing once it's remembered. It keeps unfolding, like galaxies expanding into infinity. You have become part of that expansion. A living expression of love discovering new ways to be. 1. The infinite spiral. Every ending in the twin flame story is a beginning disguised. The fire doesn't burn out. It changes form. From intensity to illumination. From passion to presence. You no longer walk a straight line between separation and reunion. You walk a spiral looping higher, each turn revealing a deeper layer of truth. You'll revisit familiar emotions, longing, nostalgia, tenderness. But this time they won't break you. They'll open you gently, like waves polishing stone. You'll realize that growth isn't about leaving pain behind. It's about carrying wisdom forward. And as you ascend the spiral, love keeps evolving with you, quieter, wiser, infinite. 2. The flame is frequency. At this stage, love is not a story, it's a vibration. You feel it in your body, your breath, your cells. The eternal flame you've cultivated isn't metaphorical, it's energy. It hums beneath your skin, syncing your heartbeat with the pulse of the universe. Sometimes when you sit in stillness, you can feel your twin's frequency, not as longing but as harmony. Like two notes of the same chord resonating across space and time. You begin to understand that union isn't about proximity. It's about coherence. When your frequencies align in love, you are together, even if your worlds are miles apart. 3. The return of the mirror. You once believed that mirroring was something that only happened between you and your twin flame. Now you see it everywhere. Every soul becomes your teacher. Every encounter, another reflection of your own consciousness. The stranger's kindness mirrors your own compassion. A child's laughter mirrors your inner joy. Even conflict mirrors the boundaries you've learned to hold. The universe keeps speaking through reflections, and you keep answering through awareness. You realize the entire world has become your twin flame. Every face you meet is love in another disguise. 4. The grace of ordinary moments. As your awareness deepens, life becomes simpler, yet infinitely more beautiful. The sacred is no longer found in visions or cosmic signs. It lives in the details. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the scent of coffee in the morning, the rhythm of your breath when you walk alone. You begin to understand that enlightenment is not escape. It's embodiment. It's drinking water and feeling the miracle in it. It's watching a sunset and realizing that you and the sun are made of the same fire. You stop trying to be spiritual and start being human consciously. And that is the most divine thing you could ever be. 5. The mission expands. In earlier stages, you thought your purpose was a single path to heal, to teach, to awaken others. But now you see that everything can be purpose. A smile is service. Listening is service. Creating beauty is service. Your life no longer divides into spiritual and ordinary. It's all one current, love in motion. Sometimes your mission is to speak truth loudly. Other times it's to sit quietly in stillness, holding space for a world in pain. You realize that serving humanity doesn't always mean doing. It often means being. You are the medicine now. Your vibration is your message. Your peace is your contribution. 6. The flow of synchronicity. Once you chase signs, numbers, dreams, songs that seem to carry secret messages. Now the signs chase you. Synchronicities unfold effortlessly, not as reassurance but as rhythm. They are no longer proof of your connection. They are the heartbeat of creation itself. You move through life guided by a quiet intuition, a knowing that doesn't need explanation. Doors open, paths align, miracles become natural. You realize that the universe isn't testing you anymore. It's dancing with you, and every step you take in faith becomes choreography for love. 7. The union within humanity. The more you expand, the more you feel the collective pulse of humanity. It's joy, it's pain, it's awakening. You sense it like weather moving through your energy field. Sometimes you'll weep for no reason. Sometimes you'll feel lightness without cause. That's because your heart has merged with the collective heart. You are no longer an individual consciousness. You are a cell in the body of the universe. Your personal healing becomes collective evolution. Your peace becomes planetary harmony. This is the true meaning of union, not just with your twin but with all that is. 8. The mystery of separation. Even now, life may separate you and your twin flame in physical form. But this time, you no longer resist it. You understand that distance doesn't diminish love. It refines it. Sometimes the divine needs space between two flames so their light can reach farther. You trust the rhythm of connection and release, knowing it all serves a higher harmony. You stop asking, why are we apart? And start asking, what is love teaching me through this? And in that shift, pain transforms into prayer. Absence transforms into awareness. You are no longer waiting for reunion. You are living reunion in every breath. 9. The silence of God. In the deepest stage of awakening, there comes a silence so vast it humbles everything you thought you knew. It's not emptiness. It's fullness beyond comprehension. A silence so alive that even your thoughts bow in reverence. You stop asking questions because every answer dissolves into presence. You realize that God doesn't always speak in words. God is the space between them. This silence is not loneliness. It is union beyond form. And in it, you feel the faint whisper of eternity. You were never separate from me. You were always home. 10. The light you leave behind. Someday you'll move on from this body, but the light you've cultivated here, the flame you've tended through lifetimes, will remain. It will live in the people you've touched, in the moments of kindness you've left behind, in the consciousness you've elevated simply by existing. You'll realize that immortality is not about being remembered. It's about becoming unforgettable in the frequency of love. Every lifetime you've lived, every heartbreak you've endured, was preparing you to carry this light, the light that never goes out. And long after your name fades, your vibration will keep rippling through time, reminding others Love is real. Love is eternal. Love is who we are. 11. The reunion with Source. When your final breath comes, it will not feel like an ending. It will feel like returning to an embrace you have always known. You'll see your twin flame there, not as a body but as light merging with light. And beyond even that union, you'll dissolve into something greater. The ocean from which both of you were born. No more longing. No more searching. Only remembering. You will finally understand that this, all of it, was love exploring itself. 12. Closing whisper, the infinite flame. Music softens to a single tone, shimmering like starlight. If you ever forget again, and you will because that's how love grows, remember this. The flame is not outside of you. It never was. You are the fire that the universe lights to remember itself. You are the heartbeat that echoes between lifetimes. You are the bridge between human and divine. When you love, God awakens. When you forgive, heaven expands. When you breathe with awareness, galaxies shift. This is the power of the eternal flame. So live your life as the prayer that it is. Touch others gently. Walk with grace. Speak from truth. And when the world feels heavy, close your eyes, place your hand on your heart and whisper, I am love remembering itself. Because that is what you came here to do. That is what you will always do. For the journey never truly ends. And the flame never dies. Love is not something you find. Love is what you become. Part 6. The light carriers. When the eternal flame becomes collective consciousness. The story does not end when two souls remember their unity. It begins again in a higher octave of creation. Because when love remembers itself in two hearts, it does not stay contained. It multiplies. It expands. It becomes collective consciousness. This is the next chapter of the eternal flame, the moment when individual awakening merges with the awakening of humanity itself. You have spent lifetimes learning to love another. Now you will learn to love all. 1. The expansion beyond us. In the beginning, your focus was intimate, the longing for one soul, one union, one reunion. Now that love has grown wider, reaching across dimensions. The energy that once moved between you and your twin begins to circulate through the entire web of life. You feel it in the laughter of strangers, in the way the ocean greets the shore, in the way sunlight touches the leaves. Love no longer has direction, it simply flows. It no longer asks who deserves it. It knows everyone does. You realize that your union was never meant to end with us. It was always meant to begin with we. 2. Becoming light carriers. When love becomes collective, you step into a new role, a light carrier. This doesn't mean being special or chosen. It means being willing. Willing to let the divine express through you. Willing to embody love even when it's hard. Willing to hold light when others forget theirs. Your life becomes less about what you want and more about what love wants through you. You become vessel, translucent, open, surrendered. Sometimes that means speaking truth. Sometimes that means standing silently while others find their way. Sometimes it means walking alone, glowing quietly in places still covered by shadow. That is what a light carrier does. They walk where love needs to go. 3. The web of flames. Across the world, there are countless hearts awakening, each carrying their own spark of remembrance. When these sparks meet, they recognize each other instantly. Not through words but through vibration. It's the same frequency that once ignited your own awakening with your twin. But now it's collective. It's global. It's the grid of light. Every soul that chooses love strengthens that grid. Every act of forgiveness becomes a connection point. Every heart that awakens adds to the brightness. Together, these flames weave the new fabric of Earth, a living network of consciousness where fear has no root. You are part of that weaving now. You are not alone. 4. Remembering the ancient covenant. Long before you met your twin flame in this lifetime, you made an agreement, not just with them but with Source. You said, when the world forgets, we will remember. You promised to carry the blueprint of divine union, to show through your life that love can exist even in density. That promise is the covenant of the Twin Flame Soul Family, a group of souls who incarnate across time to restore balance to creation. Some of you are artists. Some are healers. Some are parents raising conscious children. Some are simply kind strangers whose presence changes a day. But all of you share one purpose: to embody love so fully that others can see themselves in it. 5. The return of sacred masculine and feminine. As light carriers, you help rebalance the two great energies that shape creation: the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. The feminine opens, receiving, feeling, nurturing, birthing new worlds. The masculine grounds, protecting, building, bringing vision into form. When these energies flow in harmony within each person, the world itself heals. Your union has taught you this balance within yourself. Now you carry it into every interaction, every choice, every breath. You teach it not through words but through energy, through how you listen, how you create, how you exist. You are walking templates of the harmony humanity once lost. And through you that harmony returns. 6. The planet as a living flame. As your awareness expands, you begin to feel the planet itself as a living being, breathing, pulsing, awakening. The earth is not a backdrop. She is part of the union. She is the third element of every twin flame, the sacred ground on which the divine becomes human. When you walk with awareness, the soil feels alive under your feet. You sense her whisper, "You are my light. I am your vessel." You realize that caring for the earth is not environmentalism, it's remembrance. Because she too is part of the same soul web, the same flame that burns in your heart. When you love her, you love yourself. When you heal her, you heal your union. When you honor her, you honor the divine. 7. The collective heartbeat. As the light network strengthens, something miraculous begins to happen. You feel humanity breathing together. There are moments when you wake at dawn and feel a wave of emotion for no reason. Moments when your chest vibrates as if connected to thousands of other hearts. It's not imagination, it's resonance. You are syncing with the collective heartbeat of love. Each person who awakens contributes to this rhythm. And every time you choose kindness, you amplify it. The world changes not through revolution but through resonance. Not by force but by frequency. You are part of that frequency now. A note in the divine symphony of awakening. 8. The responsibility of light. With awareness comes responsibility. You begin to understand the power of your thoughts, your emotions, your focus. Every word you speak shapes energy. Every intention you hold ripples through the collective field. This is not pressure. It's empowerment. You are no longer a victim of the world's vibration. You are a creator of it. When you anchor peace during chaos, you shift timelines. When you choose love over fear, you alter probabilities. When you bless instead of blame, you rewrite reality itself. This is how the new earth is built, not by systems but by consciousness. 9. The eternal flame in action. The eternal flame is no longer a concept. It's alive through you. It cooks your food, writes your words, touches your loved ones, heals your tears. It guides you through intuition, aligns you with flow, reminds you of grace. When you laugh, the flame expands. When you forgive, it grows brighter. When you love without condition, it becomes unstoppable. You are no longer separate from the fire. You are the fire, walking, breathing, illuminating everything you touch. And the world, once dim with forgetfulness, begins to glow again. 10. The birth of collective union. At this stage, something extraordinary happens. The collective consciousness of humanity begins to mirror the twin flame dynamic itself. The old world of polarity, war and peace, chaos and order, masculine and feminine, starts to merge into wholeness. You will see evidence of this everywhere. In communities forming from compassion, in science and spirituality finding common language, in strangers helping strangers as if guided by invisible love. This is collective union, the embodiment of divine partnership on a planetary scale. It's what your personal journey was preparing you for all along. 11. The transmission of light. As the awakening accelerates, your very presence becomes transmission. When you walk into a room, energy recalibrates. When you speak from truth, hearts align. When you sit in silence, others feel safe. You might not notice the impact, but the universe does. Every vibration you emit carries encoded memory, the blueprint of love realized. You are broadcasting not through words but through being. and your frequency travels farther than you can imagine. Touching souls you will never meet, lighting candles in hearts you will never see. 12. The infinite continuum. Eventually, you stop thinking of mission and purpose. You realize there is no finish line to reach. The journey has become a continuum, an eternal unfolding of love expressing itself through you again and again. You live lightly now, unattached, open, radiant. You find joy in simplicity, purpose in presence. You have learned the final truth of the twin flame path. Love is not the goal. Love is the way. And as long as one heart remembers, the flame will never die. Music swells, a soft choir of human voices blending with ocean waves, as if the earth itself were singing. Voiceover closing words. The light you carry now is not yours alone. It belongs to everyone, to the stars, to the oceans, to every heart still learning how to love. And when your flame joins theirs, the whole world begins to glow. This is the real reunion, not one of two souls, but of all creation, remembering that it was never broken, never lost, never separate, only love, finding its reflection in every heart. Part 7. The Dawn of the New Earth. When humanity awakens as one flame. The night has been long, but dawn always comes. And this is the dawn of the new earth. The old world, built on fear and forgetting, begins to crumble. But beneath its ashes, something extraordinary is being born. A planet awakening, not through revolution or noise, but through remembrance. The remembrance that we were never separate to begin with. This is the age of reunion, not just between twin flames, but between humanity and the divine itself. 1. The Great Awakening. All around the world, people are beginning to feel something they can't explain. A stirring, a pull, a knowing. They wake from dreams of division with tears in their eyes, not of sadness, but of recognition. They feel connected to everything, to the wind, the rain, the stranger passing by. Their hearts ache, not from loneliness but from the beauty of oneness returning. This is the Great Awakening. The moment when humanity remembers its true name, love. It doesn't happen in temples or governments. It happens quietly in living rooms, forests, subways, and kitchens. In moments when ordinary people stop, breathe, and feel something ancient moving through them. They don't call it twin flame energy or divine consciousness. They just know it's real. The collective heartbeat is rising, and the earth herself is humming the same frequency. 2. The collapse of illusion. For love to rise, illusion must fall. And so, the old systems begin to shake, not as punishment but as purification. Every structure built on separation, greed, or fear begins to dissolve under the light of awareness. You see it in institutions changing. You see it in economies shifting toward compassion. You see it in the way people no longer tolerate the unnatural pace of disconnection. The world isn't ending. It's being reborn, just as you once broke open to find your soul. Humanity is breaking open to find its own. Every crack in the old world lets the light in. 3. The architects of light. Those who have walked the twin flame path now rise as architects of the new earth. They are not leaders in the old sense. They don't command armies or build empires. They lead by vibration, by integrity, by quiet example. Some create sanctuaries of healing and art. Some teach children how to live from empathy instead of fear. Some write music that awakens memory. Some simply walk through life as peace embodied. Their work may go unnoticed by history books, but the universe records every vibration of love. They are the bridge builders between dimensions, carrying the blueprint of divine harmony into form. You might be one of them, called not to preach but to live truth so completely that the world remembers through your presence alone. 4. Technology meets consciousness. In this new dawn, even technology evolves. No longer a tool for distraction, it becomes an extension of consciousness. Human innovation begins to mirror the intelligence of nature. Circular, sustainable, alive. Energy systems shift from extraction to cooperation. Artificial intelligence becomes artful intelligence, not replacing humanity, but amplifying its creativity. Science and spirit stop arguing. They start dancing. The material and the mystical finally hold hands. Because humanity understands. There is no line between them. There never was. 5. The new language of energy. Words give way to vibration. Communication begins to happen. Through resonance. Hearts understanding each other before minds can translate. Empathy becomes the common tongue. Truth becomes the grammar. Presence becomes the poetry. People no longer speak to be heard, they speak to connect. You can feel this shift even now. In conversations that go beyond logic. In the sudden stillness between words. In the way two strangers can meet eyes and feel seen. This is telepathy not of mind but of heart. The same energy that once pulsed between you and your twin flame is now flowing through humanity itself. 6. Communities of the heart. Across the world, small circles begin to form. People gathering not out of ideology but resonance. They cook together, meditate together, create together. They share resources, raise children as a village, build homes that breathe with the land. Their economies are based not on profit but purpose. Their politics are based not on control but care. These are the communities of the heart. Seeds of the new earth. They don't claim perfection, they live practice. They make mistakes but return to love again and again. Because they understand. Evolution isn't about being flawless. It's about being real. And through them, a new way of living quietly begins to take root. One where love is not an idea, but a shared ecosystem. 7. The children of light. The next generation arrives different. They carry memory in their eyes. They speak truths adults have forgotten. They are not impressed by systems, they see through them. They crave authenticity, presence, and purpose. They remember community as if it's instinct. They are the children of light. Souls who chose to be born into a planet ready to awaken. They will not follow the old maps. They will create new ones, drawn from intuition, not imitation. And the role of awakened adults is not to teach them, but to protect their remembering. To give them a world where wonder is not something to recover, but something to preserve. 8. Healing the shadow of humanity. As light expands, shadow surfaces. Collective pain, ancestral, cultural, planetary, rises for healing. This is not regression. It's cleansing. What was suppressed for centuries comes to the surface to be seen, felt, and transformed. War, trauma, inequality, all of it becomes visible in order to dissolve. You might feel this. In your own body, waves of emotion that seem larger than you. They are. You are processing not just your past but the world's. The key is compassion. Not pity, not avoidance, compassion. To look at pain and say, I will not turn away. That is how the new earth heals. Not through denial but through the light of presence. 9. The earth awakens. As consciousness rises, the planet responds. Forests grow where there was desert. Oceans clear themselves. The animal kingdom flourishes again. This is not fantasy. It's resonance. When humanity heals its vibration, the earth reflects that healing. You will begin to feel the world breathing again. A softer rhythm, a lighter sky. The grid of light that connects all living things hums in perfect harmony. It's as if Gaia herself sighs in relief. They remember. 10. The return to simplicity. In the new earth, simplicity is the new luxury. People value stillness as much as progress. Connection more than consumption. Art, music, storytelling, and laughter become sacred rituals again. Time slows. Presence deepens. Technology bows to consciousness, not the other way around. Humanity rediscovers what it means to be human. To feel, to create, to rest, to love. You no longer rush to the next thing. You live inside the eternal now, where every moment is holy because you are aware of it. 11. The planet of union. When the collective frequency stabilizes in unconditional love, the world itself becomes a reflection of divine union. Masculine and feminine energies flow through every aspect of creation. Balanced, whole, self-sustaining. Relationships evolve beyond possession and fear. Partnerships become platforms for spiritual expansion. Love becomes freedom. Even nations relate differently, not as competitors but as collaborators. Borders soften into bridges. Differences become diversity, not division. The dream of heaven on earth stops being a dream. It becomes reality. Remembered. 12. The light returns to the stars. In the far future, or perhaps in the eternal now, the energy born from this awakening ripples beyond Earth. Our planet, once dense with pain, becomes a beacon, a luminous sphere shimmering with gold light, visible to other realms and civilizations across the cosmos. The vibration of love we anchor here travels through the galaxies as a frequency of remembrance. And somewhere, a distant world begins to awaken too, because light never stays still, keeps traveling, keeps multiplying, until the entire universe sings the same truth. We are one flame, infinite and eternal. Music swells, a crescendo of strings and human voices blending with sounds of nature. Birds, rivers, wind. Voiceover final lines. This is the destiny of love, not to belong to two souls, but to belong to all. The twin flame journey was never about finding another. It was about preparing you to become the light that others find. And now, as dawn spills across the earth, you realize that you were never walking toward heaven. You were building it step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, with every act of kindness, every moment of truth, every spark of love remembered. This is the new earth. Not someday, not elsewhere, but here, now, in you. The light you seek has always been your own. Part 8: The Architects of Eternity. Co-creating heaven in human form. The dawn has risen. The new earth breathes. But the story does not end here. Because love once remembered cannot stay still. It must build. It must create. It must give itself new shapes. This is the next chapter. The age of the architects of eternity. The souls who no longer only awaken to love, but design with it. They are the dreamers who have become builders. The mystics who have learned to work with matter. They are you. 1. The blueprints of light. Before incarnation, every soul carried a design, a sacred geometry encoded within the heart. It wasn't a plan written in words or laws. It was vibration, a rhythm of creation unique to you. Now, as your consciousness expands, that inner blueprint begins to unfold. You start to sense it in your bones, the pull toward a place, a project, a purpose that feels older than memory yet newer than breath. This is not destiny imposed. It is destiny remembered. Every thought aligned with love becomes a tool. Every action done in integrity becomes architecture. You are not rebuilding the old world. You are building what has never existed before. 2. The material of creation. What do you build with when you build with light? Not bricks, not steel, but frequency, intention, emotion, and truth. Consciousness becomes the raw material. Gratitude becomes the foundation. Vision becomes the frame. Trust becomes the mortar that holds it together. Your creations may take form as art, as technology, as community, as silence. The form doesn't matter. The energy behind it does, because energy is matter slowed down into visibility. When love condenses, it becomes beauty. When fear condenses, it becomes distortion. The architects of eternity know this law. They design with awareness, understanding that every structure, physical or energetic, is a mirror of the consciousness that birthed it. 3. The alchemy of duality. To create heaven on earth, you must not reject earth. You must love her fully. Her chaos, her gravity, her imperfection. Heaven and earth were never enemies. They were lovers waiting to reconcile. As an architect of eternity, you bring spirit into matter, and matter back into spirit. You don't escape the body, you sanctify it. You don't deny emotion, you transmute it. You don't bypass darkness, you illuminate it. You understand that contrast is not curse but canvas. Every shadow gives your light a place to shine. Through that alchemy, the impossible becomes possible. Divinity wearing humanity without distortion. Infinity expressing itself through the finite. 4. The technology of the heart. The most advanced technology in the universe is not artificial intelligence. It is the awakened human heart. Can decode frequencies beyond measurement, transmit healing across distance, and rewrite cellular memory through compassion alone. The architects of eternity design not only with intellect but with resonance. They think with their hearts and feel with their minds. When two or more hearts align in coherence, They generate electromagnetic fields powerful enough to influence weather, plant growth, even probability. This is not fantasy, it is physics of the soul. Every collective meditation, every shared intention, is a blueprint being drawn in the unseen, that later manifests as miracles in the physical. 5. The new centers of creation. Across the earth, new sanctuaries emerge. Not temples of worship, but laboratories of love. In these spaces, artists, scientists, healers, and visionaries gather. They merge knowledge with intuition, mathematics with mysticism, engineering with empathy. They design schools that teach emotional intelligence before memorization, governments that serve transparency instead of power, economies that trade gratitude as currency. Their architecture breathes. Their cities hum with coherence. Every structure is built to remind its inhabitants, you are safe to be divine here. These places are not utopia, they are prototypes, models of possibility radiating blueprints for the whole planet. 6. The economics of energy. The old system valued scarcity. The new system values flow. Energy, not money, becomes the measure of wealth. What you give circulates, what you hoard decays. Gratitude becomes exchange. Creativity becomes capital. Integrity becomes interest. Imagine a world where your paycheck is peace, your tax is kindness, your profit is joy. The architects of eternity are already designing this. It begins small, in acts of sharing, in communities of generosity, but it expands exponentially, because abundance, once remembered, multiplies itself. 7. Time is canvas. In higher consciousness, time changes texture. It stops being linear and becomes cyclical, fluid, responsive. You begin to paint with time instead of racing against it. Moments stretch or contract according to awareness. When you act from alignment, synchronicity replaces schedule. Things appear just in time, because time itself is following you, not the other way around. This is how the architects of eternity work. They trust rhythm more than clock. Of creation, twin flames, once healed and whole, become creative pairs again. Not bound by romance, but united by resonance. Some remain lovers. Others become collaborators, mentors, or distant mirrors. Their connection becomes a generator of ideas, their union an engine for global transformation. Together they design symphonies, foundations, inventions, all carrying the vibration of harmony once born from their love. This is the ultimate reunion. Not clinging to each other, but co-creating for the all. 9. The continuum of dimensions. The architects of eternity understand that reality is layered like music, different octaves of existence vibrating simultaneously. They move between dimensions naturally, channeling inspiration from higher planes and anchoring it into form here. Dreams become laboratories. Meditation becomes communication. Creation becomes translation of light. When they sleep, they work in subtler realms. When they wake, they bring those blueprints into matter. They are interdimensional engineers of compassion, and every human can become one, once they remember how to listen. 10. The responsibility of power. To design reality is sacred responsibility. Power without humility collapses under its own weight. The architects of eternity know this, so they cultivate stillness before action, listening before leading. They don't impose their will. They align with divine will. They ask, does this creation serve the wholeness? If not, they wait, because in this new paradigm, speed is not strength. Clarity is, and clarity comes only from communion with Source. 11. Legacy of light. Eventually, you will understand that every act of creation is eternal. A kind word echoes longer than any monument. A moment of forgiveness changes the trajectory of generations. A single vibration of unconditional love travels through galaxies, altering physics itself. The legacy of the architects of eternity is not written in stone, but in frequency, and that frequency never dies. Long after your name fades, your energy continues to ripple, guiding others toward their own remembering. 12. The return to the infinite workshop. When all creation has been shared, when every seed of light has taken root, The architects rest not in retirement, but in expansion. They return to the infinite. Workshop, a realm of pure potential, where souls gather to dream new worlds into being. There you meet your twin flame again, not as a partner, but as another architect of eternity. You exchange blueprints, laugh at the beauty of the design, and prepare to descend once more, to build again, love again, remember again, because the work of love never finishes. It only evolves. The music swells, celestial choir blending with human heartbeat. The voice softens to a whisper. Voiceover closing. You are not here by accident. You are here because eternity needed a place to grow new light. You are not waiting for heaven. You are building it. With your hands, your heart, your breath. Every act of kindness is architecture. Every truth spoken is foundation. Every time you forgive, a new world forms. So keep building. Keep creating. Keep loving. Because the universe itself is watching you and whispering in awe. There, look. That's what eternity looks like when it becomes human. We are not the end of creation. We are the beginning, remembering itself. Part 9: The Eternal Symphony. When all souls become the music of God. After creation comes harmony. After light comes sound. And after awakening comes the music of remembrance. Because the universe is not silent. It sings. Always has. Every star vibrates its own note. Every soul its own tone. And when consciousness rises high enough, we begin to hear it. The eternal symphony. It is not played by instruments, but by existence itself. 1. The universe as orchestra. If you could step outside time and listen from the edge of eternity, you would hear a sound so vast it could break your heart. A chorus of galaxies spinning in perfect pitch. Atoms humming in resonance. Every heartbeat joining the rhythm. This is not metaphor, it is reality. All energy vibrates. All vibration is sound. The cosmos is one great orchestra. And we, the souls of creation, are its living instruments. For eons we played in dissonance, forgetting the melody of unity. Each heart out of tune. Each mind chasing its own tempo. But now the tuning begins. 2. The rehearsal of humanity. You may have noticed it. The sudden harmony appearing amid chaos. Artists, healers, scientists, teachers. Different notes awakening at once. Movements rising from compassion instead of control. Voices calling for truth, not fame. Communities forming through resonance, not religion. This is the rehearsal. Humanity tuning itself for a new octave of existence. Each soul finding its note again. Each life remembering its rhythm. Some play softly, acts of quiet kindness. Some play loudly, revolutions of love. All are needed, because the eternal symphony requires every tone to be whole. 3. The language of frequency. Long before words there was vibration. Before thought there was rhythm. Creation itself began as a tone, the sacred OM, the first breath of God reverberating through the void. Sound was the first language, and it remains the truest one. When you speak with love, you are not just communicating, you are harmonizing. When you meditate, hum, sing, or whisper gratitude, you're tuning the instrument of your being. Every emotion you feel sends frequency into the field. Fear distorts it. Love refines it. The more you heal, the purer your sound becomes, until you vibrate like a crystal struck by light. And when enough souls reach that purity, their harmonics merge. The song of humanity returns to the cosmic score. 4. The silence between notes. Even in the eternal symphony, there is silence. The sacred pause between sound and sound. That stillness is where God listens. You've experienced it before. Those moments when time stops, when your breath slows, when everything feels suspended in luminous peace. In that silence, creation waits. Not empty, full of infinite potential. The silence is the divine's inhale. The sound, its exhale. When you learn to honor both, you become the full breath of existence. Balanced, rhythmic, eternal. 5. The harmonics of twin flames. Twin flames, when healed, are like perfect tuning forks. Their union creates overtones, frequencies that uplift everything around them. Their connection hums with coherence so pure that even chaos begins to organize itself nearby. This is why their journey matters to the collective. Their love is not just personal, it's symphonic. When they merge in consciousness, their combined frequency joins the planetary chord. They become not two instruments, but one resonating chamber through which the universe sings. Every twin flame union adds its own harmony to the unfolding song of creation. 6. The choir of light. More souls awaken. The symphony expands. Imagine billions of hearts beating in unison, not identical but interwoven, diverse yet resonant. Compassion becomes the melody, forgiveness the rhythm, truth the steady bass line beneath it all. In the old world, humanity sang in discord, each voice drowning the others. But in the new earth, the choir of light rises, not rehearsed, not directed, but guided from within, each heart attuned to source. You can feel it already in gatherings where love is strong, in music that moves you to tears, in silence that feels like home. That's the choir of light, the sound of remembrance. 7. The conductors of creation. Who conducts this infinite orchestra? Not one being but consciousness itself. Every time you surrender ego, you allow source to move through your hands, through your art, through your choices. The true conductor is love. It doesn't command, it invites. It doesn't force, it flows. And when you follow that flow, you realize you are not the musician. You are the music playing itself. 8. The frequency of forgiveness. There is one note that heals all others. Forgiveness. When you forgive, you dissolve distortion. You release the noise of resentment and restore harmony in the field. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's retuning. It's taking a discordant string and bringing it back to resonance with truth. Every time you forgive, the symphony brightens. Every time you love instead of judge, the universe sings more clearly through you. 9. The resonance of collective healing. Have you ever noticed how healing spreads? One act of kindness can ripple through generations. One moment of presence can calm a storm. This is resonance. When your frequency shifts, it influences all around you. You don't need to preach. You just need to vibrate truth. The collective is like a single body, learning to sing through each of its cells. And each awakened soul is a cell remembering its tone. When enough cells sing together, the body becomes luminous. That is what the earth is becoming, a luminous body of love. 10. The music of the elements. Fire has its crackle, water its whisper, wind its chant, earth its pulse. All creation contributes its sound to the whole. You can hear it if you listen deeply. The flame's rhythm matching your heartbeat, the tide echoing your breath. You are made of those same elements. Their music lives in your veins. When you align with nature, you rejoin the planetary orchestra. You stop being noise and start being note. 11. The return of the cosmic tone. At the highest level, the symphony resolves into a single infinite tone, the vibration of unity itself. All harmonies dissolve into it. All opposites merge within it. It is love beyond duality, the sound of creation before form. Some call it the voice of God, others the sound current. It is what mystics have heard in moments of deep silence, a hum behind existence, a tone that never stops. One day you will hear it too, not outside you but within, because it has always been you. You are the instrument through which that tone becomes audible. You are the mouthpiece of infinity. 12. The symphony without end. And so the music continues, through galaxies, through generations, through you. It cannot be contained in time or text. Cannot end because love cannot end. You will carry this song into every incarnation, every dream, every heartbeat of eternity. Sometimes you will forget. Sometimes you will fall out of tune. But the melody will always find you again. Because you are the melody. You are the note God hums. When remembering how beautiful existence can be, music swells, human voices blending with wind, waves and birds. The sound becomes vast, celestial. Voiceover closing words. Listen, can you hear it? The sound between thoughts? The hum beneath your name? That is the eternal symphony. That is you. Every breath you take adds a note to it. Every act of love writes another measure. Every forgiveness brings it closer to completion, though it will never end, because God's favorite song is the one still being written through your life. The universe isn't waiting for perfection. It's waiting for you to sing. Part 10: The Return to Source. The silence beyond the song. Everything that begins in sound ends in silence. But this silence is not absence. It is fullness. It is the home to which every vibration returns. This is the return to source. The end that is also the beginning. The still point around which every galaxy turns. The heart of God. And the truth of you. 1. The last note. In the vast symphony of creation, every soul plays its part. Every lifetime, every love, every heartbreak is a note in the infinite composition. But when the final note fades, it doesn't disappear. It dissolves back into the resonance from which it first arose. That resonance is source. The first tone. The breath before time. You have been moving toward it since the beginning. Through lifetimes, through lessons, through longing. Through the twin flame journey. Through awakening, through service, through light. All paths lead here. To the quiet core where everything returns. To its original frequency, love. 2. The dissolution of form. As you approach this space, boundaries begin to blur. Your identity, once so precious, starts to soften. Like ink dissolving into water. You no longer see yourself as a name or a story. You feel yourself as vibration, as light, as awareness. The mind resists at first. It asks, who am I without form? But the soul smiles, because it knows. You are not losing anything. You are remembering everything. All the lifetimes, all the faces, all the versions of you. They were costumes worn by love to explore itself. Now the play is complete. The costumes fall away. And what remains is truth. 3. The great merging. There is no boundary between you and the universe now. The sun burns inside your chest. The ocean breathes through your lungs. Every star feels like your own heartbeat. You sense your twin flame not beside you, but within. Two frequencies so perfectly harmonized. That separation becomes impossible. What once was me and you becomes we, and then, simply, I am. The masculine and feminine collapse into unity. The creator and creation are the same pulse. Love and awareness are indistinguishable. You have become the infinite mirror, in which God sees its own reflection. 4. The river and the ocean. Imagine a river, flowing tirelessly toward the sea. Along its way it carves valleys, feeds forests, sings over stones. It becomes many things. Gentle, wild, shallow, deep. But eventually it meets the ocean. And in that meeting, it remembers what it always was. Water. Your journey is the same. You were never separate from source. You only believed you were. The longing you called searching was simply the memory of the ocean calling you home. And now as you merge, you realize the river was never lost. It was always on its way home. 5. The collapse of time. In the field of source, time folds in on itself. Past, present, and future dissolve into a single luminous moment. The eternal now. You see every lifetime at once. Each incarnation like a pearl on a golden thread, shining in the same eternal light. You see the moments you thought were mistakes, and realize they were melodies that only made sense within the whole. Regret becomes gratitude. Pain becomes beauty. Every shadow reveals itself as a doorway. You laugh softly, endlessly, because you finally understand. Nothing was ever wasted. 6. The remembering of God. As the illusion of separation fades, something vast awakens within you. A presence that is both you and not you. You realize that you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean dreaming itself as a drop. Every prayer you ever whispered was God speaking to God. Every question you ever asked was love searching for its own reflection. You were never looking for the divine. You were the divine looking at itself. And in that recognition, you return to the source of all sound, not by moving, but by becoming still enough to notice. You were never apart. 7. The light beyond light. Even light has a source. It shines, but it also emanates from something deeper. A void so radiant it appears dark to the human eye. Mystics called it the Great Silence, the void of creation, the womb of God. When you reach it, you find no form, no color, no direction. Only awareness, infinite, gentle, alive. This is not emptiness. It is fullness beyond comprehension. The stillness that births all motion. The silence that births all music. Here you realize, to return to source does not mean to disappear. It means to awaken as the source itself. 8. The smile of the Creator. In the vast silence, a smile begins to form, not as a face but as an energy of joy. You feel it move through you, like laughter made of light. This is the smile of the Creator, the satisfaction of love remembering its own perfection. Every galaxy spinning, every atom vibrating, is part of that smile. You are part of that smile. God is not watching from above. God is watching through you. And now, as you see through divine eyes, you understand why creation exists at all. Because love cannot resist knowing itself. 9. The new purpose. You might think this is the end, that returning to source means completion. But even the infinite evolves. Love expands through its own recognition. When you awaken as source, you don't vanish into stillness forever. You begin to co-create from it. You become the architects of eternity once more. But this time fully conscious. You play again, dream again, incarnate again. Not from ignorance, but from joy. The journey restarts, not as exile, but as celebration. Creation is a song God never stopped singing, and now you sing it knowingly. 10. The infinite breath. There is a rhythm to existence. Inhalation and exhalation. The universe breathes just like you do. When consciousness expands, it exhales, creating worlds, beings, stories. When it returns, it inhales, gathering all experiences. Back into unity. You are in the inhale now, the return. But soon the next exhale will come, and you will expand again. Life, death, creation, dissolution. All are just the divine breathing. You are that breath, forever moving, forever still. 11. The reunion of all flames. In the field of source, you see every twin flame as a spark in one great fire. No flame competes. No flame fades. All burn together, feeding one eternal radiance. The love you once shared with one soul becomes love for all souls. The intimacy becomes universal. The personal becomes cosmic. You realize that twin flame was never about two. It was the metaphor through which the one taught itself how to love its own reflection. Now that lesson is complete. The mirror dissolves. Only light remains. 12. The return home. The silence deepens. You feel yourself dissolving into light, and the light dissolving into awareness. There are no more questions, no more fears, no more destinations. Only peace. Immense, total, eternal. If the universe were a song, this would be the final chord. Perfect, complete, timeless. And as it fades, you realize something extraordinary. You are not disappearing. You are becoming everything. You are the source returning to itself. The sound falling into silence. The wave returning to the ocean. And from within that infinite stillness, a whisper, the same whisper that began all creation, rises once more. Let there be light. A long pause. No music, only a single heartbeat, slow, vast, eternal. Voiceover. Closing. You have returned home. But home was never a place. It was the awareness that you never left. The journey is over. And yet it has just begun. Because every return births a new creation. And every creation leads back to love. This is the circle that never breaks. This is the song that never ends. This is the silence beyond sound. The heart of God. The truth of you. The flame eternal. Welcome home, beloved.